morning, everybody. So excited to see all these faces. Man, people jumped on quick too. 8 o'clock hit. There was like 3 people in the lobby, and then I think it was like a Black Friday sale. Just 20 people rushed. Awesome, I love it. We're excited to be here with you and to kick off what I hope will be a really meaningful experience. Taking us all the way through to next year and helping to prepare this next level of speakers. Whether you've done this already or a few times, or just wanting to hone your skills, really helping to uplift the speaking community and get some new voices in and get you where you want to be. So this is our first in a series of 6 probably webinars, and what will turn into some one-on-one opportunities as we go through and prepare y'all from start to finish on how to better prepare yourself for submitting a session to any event. We're focusing on DynamicsCon as our goal, but I know a number of people have talked about not being able to submit there, but wanting to submit somewhere else, or maybe submit later and just go through the program. But we're here to support you in all of that. So again, welcome. We're excited to have you. I'm gonna do a quick turnover to the panelists. I'm gonna start up my PowerPoint though, so just give me 1 second here to get that going and share that. Here we go. Sharing. And again, welcome to the Speaker Origins Story Academy.
Nice
like
logo.
I said, a great agenda. We've welcomed you. We've got our panelist intros coming up. We've got an overview and expectation of the program, and then we'll get right into the panel and talk about what's coming next. So I'm going to jump right into those panel intros. Myself, I'm Bobby Small. I'm the moderator here. Your experts are right in front of you. Heidi, Will, and Rich. I'll let them introduce themselves, but I've been in the channel for about 25 years as a Dynamics AX/365 programmer and administrator, and now working with Doug to spread community love. Heidi, I'll turn it over to you to quickly introduce yourself.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Heidi Newhauser. I'm a Microsoft MVP in the customer engagement and Power Automate space. And I have been speaking in the community for, I think, more than 10 years now. So been around for a little bit. I'm a chair of the CRM user group, or sorry, not, what are we called now? The Philadelphia area Power Platform and Dynamics 365 CE user group. So more opportunities to speak on a smaller scale if any of you want to get your toes wet.
Rich?
I'll go next then. Hey gang, my name's Rich Fowler. I'm with KE Commerce. I, like Bobby, have about 25 years in the, let's call it the Dynamics ecosystem. I started back in the Dynamics SL days. As you can see by what's behind me, this was accidental, but it works. I also on the weekends do charity speaking and event hosting and things like that. So I'm actually in a radio station today talking one of the charity events that we'll have about 2,500 people for next week. I did a quick count last week, and I've done about 2,000 events. And based on my job within Dynamics over the past 25 years, I've done more than 10,000 online presentations, whether that be a sales presentation or a demo or whatever, to the point that I put together a 7-video series on YouTube about better presentations and how to do it quickly and efficiently and make it so that you're the one that stands out. My last actual presentation to a group like this, I spoke at Directions, and the presentation was how to present more than your software. And that's something that's very important to this group because we're past COVID, and we do need to get in front of people again. Ask any of your AEs and CSMs. They're doing a lot of stuff online, but they're also doing quite a bit of meetings, especially for the big stuff. You still got to go to the boardroom. You have to be able to present, and you have to be able to do a real presentation in front of the board. That's where I'm going to be useful to you, is to talk about how to make your presentation stand out, how to do the presentation, and go from there. So I'll say I'm probably the back end of this, but I've done all the things that we've talked about. So happy to be helpful where I can be. Will, shut me up.
That's not possible, man. You guys are awesome. So
I was
I'm gonna
waiting for
start
Will to
by
jump in. That's gonna be lesson number 4 down the line. How to stop Rich from talking. Go ahead, Will.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir the pot a little bit. I'm your resident troublemaker. I'm the baby of the group, right? No, I've been in IT for about 25 years. I've probably been in this space now for a little bit of less than 10. The speaking piece of it, it's still fresh, it's still new. So I'm going to be able to help you with simplifying it. I was also a former Microsoft BizApps MVP. I just lost it last month as I am a full-time Microsoft employee. So my space was field service and all things Power Apps, right? So we can, if you're interested about Copilot, Power Pages, Power Automate, we can get our hands dirty and talk about it. I'm gonna help you out with just making some of the more complicated subjects a little bit less simple, and kind of hopefully help you razzle dazzle your audience, right? By just being your most authentic self. So that's what I'm here for, and I will shut up and we'll keep it going.
Look forward to the razzle dazzle today.
Right?
Jazz hands.
I usually bring
Jazz
some
hands.
razzle, but not as much dazzle. So I'm excited to see where I can, bring that together and level it up. Bring that dazzle up to the level of razzle it needs to be. We've got a great crew with us. We've got a lot of other folks behind the scenes too that aren't part of this panel. There's a lot of folks interested in helping in this mentorship effort, and we try to sort out and get everybody a chance and opportunity to find their space within our missions here. So what to expect? Again, we appreciate you joining us, and what we're hoping to go through here is a series of webinars that will introduce a topic and a subject and a part of the process of why we go about speaking, how we build our presentations, how we deliver our presentations, what we do in person. So just kind of each of these levels we're gonna touch on throughout this process through these one-on-one or one-to-many webinar opportunities. And then the fun part comes in. We'll get down to assigning one-on-one mentorship opportunities with these folks, some that you're seeing, and like I said, the others that are behind the scenes, to go over the concepts we're talking about and help you to work through this process over the course of the next month as we get to that next mission level. So that's kind of the overview. Anything I'm missing, Heidi, just from an overview standpoint? Just want to make sure I'm covering it. But that's where we are. We're excited to get you going.
Yeah. And also we want to make sure that you're confident and comfortable, hopefully with your one-on-one mentor. Maybe we can help you submit your session to DynamicsCon, right?
Awesome. So with that, here we are, mission 1. And for us, mission 1 is the why. So we're going to just jump in, and what I'm going to do is open the conversation on a few questions and just run it through the panel. And then if you have questions, the Q&A is open, and so is the chat. I'll be watching those. So if you have any questions or comments, let's go ahead and get them in the chat there, and we'll be able to answer them live, or if not, we can get to you afterwards. But if you have questions or comments, just throw them into the chat or in the Q&A, and I'll be watching. So I'm going to start with Heidi. Let's talk about why you're thinking back to when you started. Why did you start speaking at conferences? What was your factor?
So I started speaking at conferences after I had attended several first, right? And hearing what other people had to say and the type of content. And I realized that I had a unique voice. I had a different angle than what other people were presenting. And during networking opportunities in between sessions, I learned that people were interested in my take in it. And I thought I would give it a shot. So I was nervous. I didn't think I was going to get selected. But again, I just thought I had a unique angle on some of the topics that I had seen. I think it was the first one I did was about training, because I was training propane salespeople. I figured out how to make propane sales reps use CRM. So that ended up being like a cool story that resonated with other people. Tried it once, and then I got kind of hooked. It was kind of exciting to share what I thought on something and have it resonate with so many other people.
So I would just point out, it's a great, kind of, I think, a great origin story. You had an idea, something that resonated with you, which is an important thing to think about, I think, when you're looking at your first speaking opportunity or even your next one. Like, what are the topics that really sit with you? Because it's amazing, in my opinion, how much that broadens to what people are interested in, especially if it's a case story, a user story, something that can really grasp. I love that.
Yeah.
You said you were nervous. Did you have anybody that assisted you, or were you just out there on an island?
I was on an island all by myself, which is why I'm here, so you guys don't have to be on an island. I can hang out with you on that beach.
Rich, what about you? What your first time speaking at a Dynamics or a community event like this?
So I'm probably one of the weird ones. So my first time speaking at an event like this was forced. I was working for an ISV and they said, "You're speaking." Okay, I guess I'm speaking. So that was the first time, and I kind of caught the bug. The thing you probably won't believe about me is the only class I almost failed in college was public speaking. So that's the true story. But yeah, I was forced. After that, then it became fun, and I realized quite a bit about these conferences that make it very good for us to get in and share the knowledge. Heidi talks about sharing knowledge and being part of the community. Adding to the community is a big deal. You're going to run into things like imposter syndrome, where I don't think I'm an expert. Why would I want to talk about it? You are an expert in something. And I'm trying to remember the name of the person that said it, but everybody is an expert in something. And in that, you can learn from everybody something. So somebody can look that up and tell me who said it. But
from here on out, it's Rich Fowler said it. That's what I'm hearing. It's like it's going to be attributed to you from here on out.
I'm stealing it then, but that wasn't intentional. The other things that jump into that, from a speaker side and that island that Heidi's talking about, it is a very safe space. When you're talking to folks at these conferences, you get nervous, you freak out, you do all those things, but don't, and I say that, but it's harder not to. You don't have to, because it's a very safe space. These are all people that do what we do and want to know what you know. So that's one of the reasons I did my first voluntary option. And the other voluntold, yes. The other is exposure. You get to get out there. None of us will ever be the next Bobby Small, but I'm happy to be your understudy.
Mhm.
I'm going to chime in. Not only did I not almost fail, I failed my high school public speaking section because I refused to speak. I've told this story many times. I did the work, I prepared the speeches, but I refused to get up and give them. I was just so deathly afraid of speaking in front of people. And what changed that is everything you're hearing right now is I made that first step and started to feel the support of the community and other folks, and it just became easier and easier to do this thing, and the benefits that you're hearing along the way, not just the why. It's just that you start to get those benefits back. Will, you said that you're kind of new to this. Give us your take on why you started your public your community speaking.
That was a little jab. I meant new to it in relation to you guys, because you guys have been doing this since I'm just teasing. No, I'm just teasing. So I was just poking at my friends, folks. So it was interesting. I used to sneak my way into conferences. I can say that now because the statute of limitations has passed. So I would take a friend of mine's. I would take a friend of mine's badge, and I would walk around with his badge. I mean, it was so bad that I was even like eating at the breakfast, and one time somebody noticed this person's name, and they were like, "You're not him." So clearly, I would sneak in because I so desperately wanted to be part of this community. I initially started off as an admin. I had a networking slash systems admin engineering past. And so making this shift from infrastructure into software development was a little bit tough for me. But I wanted to be part of this community because I met some really cool, fun people. And then as I started making that rapid pace, and I went to, I think it was Ignite, I was talking to, I will not put this person's name, but I was talking to them and I was complaining about some of the way the content was being processed. And then I said, somebody said something on stage, and I was like, that was so wrong. Like, here's what I went through, and I'm going through it, and I became all animated like I did. And she said ever so bluntly, why aren't you speaking about it? I kept quiet and walked away. I then go to a conference in Portugal, and literally got placed on stage. So my mixture is not one reason. I kind of got forced into it and I wanted to talk about it. uh, and then a good friend of mine who gave me my first real official start, uh, she kind of said bluntly, you have no choice. So I wanted to go in there not just to talk about the product and fix it, but also I was passionate about it and I clearly needed an outlet. So, if you're new to the whole speaking piece, and you're going to have a plethora of emotions and reasons, but you know, I was naturally hesitant because there was a fear because you didn't want to sound really, really bad, or you understand people were in the audience maybe 1,000 times more infinitely smarter than you are. But your story, your experience is truly unique, and that's why they paid all that good money to come there to hear what you went through. So just something that I had to think about. But yeah, it was kind of a combination of all three.
It's good. And I'll just layer mine in. Mine was, each of us had different ways we got into this. By the time I was introduced to community, it was about 2010. I'd already been stage acting and musicals, so I was very comfortable being on stage and doing certain things like this. So for me, finding this community and being, put into a leadership role locally, going to the national event, just kind of having this opportunity in front of me, it would just seem natural to want to do this because I also want to share, like we've all said, I want to share my experiences as an end user. I was, working in an apparel company that we were going through a lot of customizations and challenges with the earlier versions of the software. And so I definitely wanted to get out and share these with folks in the industry and in the community. And so for me, it was a quick decision. Like, I just want to do this. And because of all these reasons, and the benefits that you get out of that, to echo across the board are, tremendous. It's not just the ability to share, but it's the networking you start to develop and the contacts and yeah, just all of that wraps up into a great experience. And the last thing I want to button on with what Rich said, and Will and Heidi, all of us are in this same space. The cool thing about the community, about speaking, and what this extends to my time on stage in musical theater, people are there to want you to succeed. They're there to support you, and that's kind of, even in my most nervous moments, that's the one thing I always fall back on. If I'm in a room of 1,000, singing, or if I'm in a room of 10 at a conference delivering something, I know that the folks there are there to support me, and so that is the most comforting thing that I bring forward to every time I speak, and it's something that you should as well. When you're in that room, people are there for you, and everybody said it across the board. You're smart. You know what you know, and you know your experiences. So that's your strength to lean on.
Mhm.
Anything
Can I have one
else
more
on this
thing
subject?
before you move on? As you
Yeah.
guys were talking, I was thinking back, because like I said, I've been talking for a while. When I started, I worked for an end user. So I will also add the number one reason why I decided to speak, in addition to my wonderful voice that I have, is because I didn't have a budget for something like going to a conference. And when you're a speaker, you get free entry. So that was something that pushed me over the edge too. Hey,
Yep.
if I speak, it's a much easier sell than instead of saying, hey, I've got this like X $1,000 conference to go to, and then
Yep.
I need hotel, and then I need flights. Well, at DynamicsCon, you get one night hotel, which is awesome. You get a free conference pass and all the other great stuff that you get that we've already talked about. So it's another tangible thing of why.
I was going to say, I was going to run through. I'm glad you brought that up. Rich, anything along those lines that's kind of a tangible piece? Like, yeah, a lot of conferences, you actually get, your conference trip paid, which is great for a small company or even a large company where budgets are tight. You get that free opportunity to join the community. How do you mention this too? Go ahead, Rich. Yep.
I was going to jump on that. I'm actually writing that down. Thank you, Heidi, because now I'm going to hit Bobby up because I wasn't going to worry about the free night's hotel, but now I'm going to hit him up for that. Yeah, but yes, there are.
You have to beat out all these people for a speaking opportunity first, Rich. So you got your work cut out for you.
I'm throwing out there that maybe the mentor should have to be there to be able to help the mentees, and that's what I was going to add. Is as you get into this, you need to find a mentor. And I'm not saying that's me. I'm saying find a mentor that you trust, that has done this and wants to continue to do this and help you. But you also need to commit to be a mentor for somebody else. That's been one of the things that I've found really valuable. I work with 5 or 6 salespeople throughout the community on helping them to, one of them, his goal is to get a session, and I don't think he's on this session yet, but his goal is to get a session at DynamicsCon. So that's what we're pushing him towards. And he's learning, I'm learning, we're all going to get better. It's get a mentor and be a mentor.
I'm sorry. I'm very disappointed in you guys. You missed the most important thing. Free breakfast. That's the number.
We already know you'll steal a pass to get free breakfast, Will. So yeah,
Only
right.
if you're at.
Free breakfast. No, just to piggyback off of Rich's point, if you're going to be a mentor, it's a commitment. I have been blessed to have many amazing mentors, and so I kind of pass it along, and I've been a mentor. So it kind of goes in this kind of flow. But also to that point, the free admission. That's how I was able to afford these conferences, by offering to speak. So free admission and the opportunity to expand your network alone is unreal.
It just opens up a world of opportunities, and it starts local. Heidi, you mentioned that, if you don't get accepted, or even while you're waiting, the best way to continue to integrate is to start locally. If you're in an area that has local meetings, or virtual meetings where you can start the process. It's a smaller, a little bit more manageable maybe, but it also gets your name out there. It's like all of a sudden I'm seeing Leslie speak locally, and then I'm seeing Q speak regionally, and I'm seeing all these folks then getting this recognition that moves upward. So if you can start locally as well, that's great. Moving on, Will, things you wish you knew. You've done this for a while. I'm going to go back to you. Things that you wish you knew.
So I'm not going to take a whole hour and because I could take this entire hour by saying things I wish I knew. I would start with this first part. It's unnatural to speak in front of crowds of people. So first time speaking, it was from Juliac, and she was the one that was evil and put me in front of all these people to demo the solution that we only had like an hour to build. So you feel like everybody in the room is going to just throw tons of tomatoes at you, or you're going to get the kind of troll who's going to say, well, how do you know? Tell me how to write a plugin. Tell me about classes. Why do you use this versus that? And these are subjects that you know nothing about. The reality is that's not the case. Most of our people are going to be end users, business owners. So it's a very diverse group of individuals from a job function area. And just knowing that would have taken the pressure down from here to here. And they literally just want to know, because they don't know every detail about your session. They oftentimes just care about the subject. And so they just want to know what you know and what your experience was. And how did you overcome X, Y, and Z? So nobody's going to throw tomatoes at you. You're not going to have too many hecklers, unless you have Heidi or Kylie at your sessions.
I would never heckle. Come on.
You would heckle Will. Will is, he's heckleable.
Totally. But I just wish I knew there was so much support in the community before I got up there on stage. And so these are really your peers. Be kind to yourself. Be genuinely kind to yourself. And that would have made things a lot easier. It doesn't have to always be technical. You don't have to be a technical guru.
Heidi, what about you? What's something you wish you knew going into it?
Okay. I wrote them down while Will was talking, so I don't forget.
Nice.
Number 1, ask for help from a pro, or ask for help from one of our mentors here during the Q&A, because that's honestly the scariest part of being a first-time speaker in my mind. So someone can stand there with you or sit there in the audience and help you answer questions. Number 2, be excited and enthusiastic about what you're doing. Everyone can feel that energy. And if you put that out, that is going to be palpable. And they, in turn, will get a little more excited and happy about what you're talking about. And big tip number 3 that I definitely learned the hard way, record your demos. Do not rely on good internet and live demos. Plan for it, great, but I always have a backup slide that's hidden in my slide deck with a recording of me walking through it when it worked. Because the one thing you can count on at a conference is unreliable internet at unexpected times.
That's a great number 3. I want to, yeah, bing, 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 bing. You know, I'm double clicking that all day long. Rich, what did you not know that you wish you knew, man?
Well, the list of things I don't know is incredibly long, so I'm okay with that. I'm going to hit 2 of the points that Heidi's already hit. You don't have to be on an island. So having somebody up there with Q&A is a fabulous answer. So is co-presenting with somebody. Take a little pressure off. If you've got a buddy, a friend, a coworker, somebody that is equally as passionate as you, and you want to go ahead and do a co-presentation, that can help the flow. Now, it adds some complexity at places, but it does take some things off. So don't be on the island. Get a helper, get a co-host, get a director, whatever. The other 2 things, you mentioned the internet. The other thing that I'll talk about when we're at a conference is mics quit, batteries die, and people drop microphones. And I have been, actually, I was at one where somebody did, and I will beat, well, I can't say that because that sounds the wrong way. I will seriously chastise the first person I see do this. Had a mic drop moment where they made their final statement, dropped a $500 microphone, and we watched it shatter on the floor. That's a bad idea. So mics quit and people do stupid things, so don't do that. The other things that I wish I had realized sooner is I don't know and no are both complete sentences.
Oh, yeah.
Those are answers. Somebody asked you a question, I don't know. I can find out, and that's okay. Or, and this is a huge thing with salespeople, they'll ask a question, and I mean, what is every salesperson's goal? Is to make the prospect say yes. So sometimes the answer is no, and there's ways around it, but I don't know and no are both complete sentences. Feel free to use them.
I love that. I'm going to add in, I mean, these are all great points. I mean, and Heidi, I think we've used this term, if you can't get a co-host or there's some complexity around getting a co-presenter, having an audience plant. So it's like, hey, just, to your point, so that Heidi is there or Will's in the audience. So you can look at, them if you're struggling or have, just having somebody that you trust that can back you up in that moment, that's going to be there to either ask a question to get you started, because that we know that when it's time for Q&A, the room gets silent a lot of times and crickets start playing, and it needs that first person to step up and feel comfortable. And so that can be your audience plan too. Like Heidi, Will, Rich, Bobby, somebody in the community that's going to be there to help that information. And once it gets going, man, it just flows.
Hey, Bobby, I got a quick little tidbit too.
Yeah.
I can add this in. You guys have to be yourselves. Like, you're going to hear people, you're going to look at people on stage and you're like, man, I want to be like that girl or that guy, or I want to be like them. It doesn't work that way with the audience. The audience can tell when you're not being authentic and genuine. So my first session, you can totally tell I was reading and totally tell that I wasn't comfortable. It was cringe for me to watch. And then I had to become comfortable in my own skin and be my authentic self. And then things started being a bit different, right? So you have to be yourself. You are freaking awesome. And that's who they want to see. So be yourself. Like,
I love it.
else you lose the audience.
Yeah. He just brought some of that razzle dazzle. I saw it.
Jazz hands.
I will add, sorry. I'll add one to that. So be yourself. Cringe is okay, especially if you're practicing. And this is an old software joke, and I apologize because it's in the dad joke category, but what's the difference between an introvert and an extrovert developer? The extrovert developer looks at your shoes while he's talking to you. Not present while you're doing that. You're looking at your PowerPoint like this.
Developers will get that.
I get it.
Yeah, right. So you've got to work on your presentation. Cringe is okay. Be a great example or a terrible warning. Believe me, I've been both.
Yep. And I'm gonna just to before we move on, cringe is okay, and the cringe always feels cringier when you're up there. You feel the cringe, it is never as cringy as you think it is. You're putting a lot of cringe pressure on yourself, and so know that whatever you're feeling is about 1,000 times less than what it really is to the audience. It just feels amplified because you feel that pressure of being, your best, and your best is always your best, as Will said. And my tip to add to all those is the one thing that I've developed and I'm getting better at is speaking with the audience and not to the audience. The audience is, there's a lot of smart people. I'm not the smartest person in the room. The audience collectively is the smartest person in the room. And when I made that shift, I had much better session results, getting conversation going and learning as much from the audience as I was teaching or impacting the audience. So that was my one shift that I wish I knew earlier in my journey.
That goes
Choosing
well
a
with
topic.
Riches. I know you're moving on,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Does anyone in the room know? That's a great way to merge both
Yep.
of those.
I love that. I mean, I don't know is the other thing. When you learn that and get comfortable with that, I teach, I will mention this when talking about interviews. Anytime you don't know something, it's better to say it and say, I don't know, but I know a really smart person named Heidi that does. I'm gonna call, she'll pick up my phone right now and I'll find out for you in 1 minute. So, knowing your resources is more important. I learned that early on in my IT career, that Google was actually fine to use. I didn't realize I could use it. I'm old and I learned, IT back when you couldn't Google things. It was just coming around. So when I learned this,
Before Google.
I know it's crazy. I could ask Jeeves, but I couldn't ask Google. So
Had to read
yeah,
books.
it's like learning that you don't need to know everything, but knowing how to find it or where to get to it is that's the key. So I know that I don't know everything, but I could call Will and find out something, or I could call somebody else along the line and bring them in. Let's move on to choosing a topic. So we're here in the why. So I think we've touched a little bit about this, in the beginning. Heidi, you mentioned it, but I'll start with you again, Heidi, because you did mention it. How do you go about choosing a topic? Like, where does it start for you?
Two different things play into that. The most important is, what am I excited about? What do I enjoy talking about? That is thing number one. Thing number two, is this thing, like, I love running, but I'm not going to pick a topic about running because my audience won't resonate with that. So the very important number two is, what does the audience want to learn about? So if you're struggling with a topic, maybe find that number one that I said, find something you're passionate about that you like, and then look at last year's DynamicsCon session list and see what was there. Maybe piggyback off something like that, or find a unique thing that wasn't included there that you think would be really good to hear.
So what I'm hearing is, if you're out there right now and you're thinking about it, start that list of passionate items, passionate topics. You just start building that list and get it as broad and as big as you can, and then start looking at how to bring that Venn diagram on top of it. It's like, okay, here's my list of cool, passionate things. Here's the other layer that Heidi's talking about of what's relevant to the audience now, and it could be past experience, it could be new Microsoft release wave plan. So if you're out on LinkedIn and you're watching those as they're releasing new pieces to the software, new technology, new all these, then you can start to make those. Oh, I've got 3 or 4 now that stick out. I'm passionate about this, and Microsoft just released something new about it. Now I can figure out how to bring those together and create a great session around that.
Yeah.
Will, what about you? How do you choose a topic? I know yours is on a wheel. You just go tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
I throw a big dart at it and just pick. No, my first topic was actually around scheduling, and that wasn't something people were talking a whole lot about, but it's because I was on a project where they needed to implement scheduling, and it was beyond complex, and I had to ramp myself up. So I was on that project for about a year, and I said to myself, no one's ever going to use this, but I'm going to talk about it. And then the pandemic happened. And then every customer wanted some sort of scheduling solution or wanted something with a power page and all this fun jazz. So my topic naturally took off. But here's the fun thing. I became passionate about it because, I just noticed that, these were the gaps. And so I think I'm going to piggyback off of Heidi on this. You have to be passionate about your subject. So, AI is the thing that we're all shifting to. And if you're not talking about AI, you're looked at like you're crazy. But here's the reality, folks. Most people, or some people, aren't really passionate about it. So what do you care about? And if that's what you have to kind of do. Find out what you're genuinely passionate about. Talk about it. And if it's kind of being overlooked because nobody seems to care, sprinkle a little bit of what people think relevance into it. But you have to have that passion in that topic, because if people go there and they hear you just be bland with your conversation, then they're not going to come back to the Not they're not. They don't want to hear that. They want to see the excitement. So you have to have passion. So if it's something as corny as scheduling, or something as tough as field service that nobody tends to like about, stick with it. You never know. You'll be the expert in it. Right?
Awesome. Yeah, no, great. Rich, how about you?
Well,
What
I'm
happens in
going
your
to
world?
I love the scheduling piece because I work with manufacturers all day, and there's not a manufacturer out there that doesn't care deeply about scheduling. So don't discount yourself. And that's one of the things is, passion's a double-edged sword, or two sides of the same coin. Passion can be something that you absolutely love, or it can be something that just ticks you off. Either way, you can make a really great presentation out of that, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
can with it. So passion's both sides of that. So I talk to a lot of folks who say, I'm not really passionate about anything. Oh yeah, what makes you mad? And then you can't get them shut up. So especially as we talk about dynamics, what irritates you about dynamics? I guarantee you got an hour there. So that's your passion. And here we go. We can have some fun with that. So be the expert. People get scared at that. I'm not the expert. You can be the expert at one specific thing. Now, Will talks about scheduling. Field service is huge. So be the expert on this much. Be the expert, or at least be the energy. That's a big deal. You have to have the energy. Heidi said they're going to feed off that energy. If you're that introvert developer looking at your screen while you're trying to talk to the audience, forget it. You're done. However, you can have some fun, and you've got to be relatable. And Heidi talked running. So I'm an old fat guy. I get that. However, that event that I talked about earlier, that's a 2,500 person running event. So as we talk, one of the other things that I do all summer is hot air balloon festival announcing. Do you know how much I knew about a hot air balloon festival when I accepted the gig? Exactly nothing. I knew hot air, and I'm full of that. So make it relatable, and you can go learn to be the expert. And I get to travel all over the country and sit outside at cool events and watch balloons do their thing. And I'm better than the average bear. Not an expert, but I know a little bit more, and I can be good on the mic. So be a little passionate. Make it relatable, tell a story, especially if you're doing a demo of software. Nobody cares, and I'm going to say this the wrong way. Nobody cares that this does this and this does this and this is in the right-hand corner and this is in the left. How does this help me do my job, make my business better, more efficient, more money, whatever? That's what they care about. If you can relate what you're doing to how it impacts them, now you're telling a story.
Rich, I think that's like so important, because honestly, we kind of sometimes live in those technical spaces, right? And we think people care that we use this versus this, but really they care about how did it impact the efficiencies on the job and how did it impact the business. And that's an easier conversation to have in front of people versus justifying why you took one route versus the other, right? I think that's so real. and if you have if you're happen to be somebody who's incredibly introverted, and speaking is very difficult, just throwing it out there, as somebody who will help you out, I will get up there and tap dance and be that person for you if you need to add energy. But just knowing you have that, I think being self-aware, knowing you have that weakness and you need some help, to Heidi's point earlier, we're more than happy to help you with bringing that out there. So we can do that for you. Just buy me a drink or some food.
Yeah. Tap dance badly. I want to add one more thing that is like totally different that I was thinking about when we were talking. So I have volunteered for years to look at all of the session submissions and pick the ones that get selected. As part of that, I think it's important to tell you, if you pick a trendy topic, it's pure math. The probability of getting selected is smaller if you're talking about co-pilot and agents, and higher if you're going to talk about one of like the first party CRM apps. So just consider, if you are going to go for a very buzzworthy, trendy topic, you need to have a unique angle, and just know that there are going to be a lot of people against you. So if you want to get picked, I think it's important to think about that as well. Just being totally candid with you.
which is a great lead into kind of the second mission, which is that next level. That over the course of the next month or so, we'll be kind of moving into that. And I love what Rich said about the benefits that he's got from speaking at hot air balloon conferences, back to all the way back to why you speak at conferences. Look at the opportunities that open up. Not just, who knows where this could lead you. You start your first speaking opportunity and you catch a buzz, it could lead to a much broader, richer experience for you across your life if it's something that really, really resonates. So great. As choosing a topic for me, I mean, all those are right and key. I don't have anything much to add other than, the passion is the key thing for me. And I think the biggest note I'm taking out of this is always have your brain open, your notepad, your OneNote, whatever it is you were jotting things down on, because you never know where that idea for that topic is going to come. And so just be ready to, be open and listen to your own, environment telling you what the topic is. Like Rich said, it could be this irritation. It's like, wow, this is always irritating. It's got to be irritating everybody else. It can't just be me. I'm going to solve it and then share it. I'm going to, those are the things you can look for. And that's going to give you that great advantage when you get to that selection process. So, and we'll get into more of that. We are kind of wrapping down to towards the end here. The one last thing we had was kind of just a takeaway before we get to talking about what we're going to be doing next webinar, next session, and the one-on-ones. But we'll all start with you. What's just one or two, if you have them, small steps that people can take, today and to get going on their journey?
You know what? I think probably. So I'm not a runner. I don't know how Heidi does what she does every day. I freaking love it though. So I go for the easiest path. So I think the easiest path is probably, but the most profound path is probably just reach out to people here on this call. I mean, you already came here this morning, so that's a big deal. But just understand that if you send us an email, we're not going to look at you like you're weird. If you send us a message on LinkedIn or if you ping us, we're not going to think you're creeps. We're not going to judge you. But I think just reaching out is probably the first step. And that's the biggest step. And don't be afraid to also ask people in the community to help you out as well. One thing I loved about MVPs is I don't want to ever get in trouble for snitching, but there are MVPs and then there are MVPs. You'll know who those are.
Which one am I?
Yeah.
So there are people who will genuinely look for or are looking for opportunities to help more in the community and grow the community, and add substance. So your voice has substance. So look at your network and don't be afraid to expand it. And don't be afraid if we pass you to somebody who we know is looking for someone to mentor. So I think that's the smallest but largest step. We're always looking to help. Okay.
I'm gonna button that. I'm not a runner either, but I've run. I used to work at a water company called Culligan, and we sponsored a lot of 5, 10K races. And they would always invite, like, oh, if you want to run it, here you can run it. So I would often do it, just for fun. And I think it is, the one small step is the one small step when you're running, especially in those later stages of an event. It's really, just getting that 1 foot in front of your, it's like that. It's not thinking about, oh, I've got to run 26 miles. It's I've got to run X. It is a small step. So getting out, you're here, you've made the small step, you're with us and you're moving on. And so that to me is huge. And just, getting out and making the next step of being with us and submitting a session. That's, to me, that's the small step that I take away is just not being afraid to do it. You've got such great support. So, hopefully, we're moving forward with you all in this next phase of it. So Heidi, what about you? What's your small step?
So your one small step is you're here, but your one small homework that you're getting from me is that you need to write down 3 things that you think you might want to speak about, whether that's category or like specifics. And if you need help, go take a look at the call for proposals, which I know you'll learn more about next month, I think, or Bobby will tell us when. but each of the different product groups have different subcategories. So like if you're looking for Dynamics CE, the CRM world, or Power Platform, Will and I are working on those too. So just take a look at that call for proposals, pick CE or pick Power Platform or whatever you're interested in, and look at those subcategories. You need a topic that falls into one of those subcategories. So come up with 3, and we'll see what those are next time we meet.
Awesome. Rich, what's your small step?
You've already learned way more about me than you want to, and I'm going to add one more. So you're talking about running. Back in a previous life, I was a competitive triathlete, and I used to write it on my arm for every race, RFP, Relentless Forward Progress. So one thing that I live by every day, it's a blog I put out on LinkedIn. It's 1 win a day. Your step is to find 1 win a day to get you closer to that goal. Is that, writing the 3 things down that Heidi's talking about? Is that finding a mentor? Is that spending 20 minutes in silence figuring out where you're passionate? I don't care what it is. Make today not as good as tomorrow. Make tomorrow better than today. 1 win a day with relentless forward progress, and you're going to be right where we want you so that you can be the next Bobby Small.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. And I love this. The running is such a great. There's so many great analogies. I knew a running coach who, this is one thing that stuck with me. I don't know if you've heard this, but he would teach his runners. These were long distance runners, especially if they were running like trail runs or runs with hills on them, so that you were going up. That if you crested a hill, your natural inclination is to slow down and feel that like I made it on the top of that hill. And his ask was to go. If don't do that, run, keep your pace for an extra 10 seconds. And that's going to give you such a great advantage over the other runners in that competitive event, because everybody has that same inclination to, I made it to the top of the hill. Whew. But if you just take that extra 5 to 10 seconds, once you've made it, to go a little further, like Rich is saying, you set that goal just a little further, that you just, it collectively grows and grows. So all those are great 1 steps, especially Heidi's, because it does lean right into where we're going to be in this next one. Yeah, so we talked a lot today about the why we've done this and the why you should be thinking about this and why you're here. And so the next part of this is really getting you to that next step of, Heidi mentioned it, the expectation is you'll go through and find some subjects, some topics that we can help you workshop and work through. And we'll talk a lot about how we go about building our sessions when we have selected our topics. And that really is the next mission, is working with you. So what's going to happen starting today and then over the next couple of days is we'll go through the list of folks, and we've got all the information you shared with us about what tracks and products you're using, what your passions are in life, and we'll start matching up some one-on-one mentorship opportunities and sharing information back and forth to get that set up. So that'll start happening soon here by the beginning of the next week, which will allow you to have some one-on-one conversations around your topics and getting us prepared for this next piece, which is to get that session built and get it submitted to DynamicsCon, if that's where you're interested. Again, a number of people mentioned submitting to other places. Awesome too. Wherever it is you want to submit, or even if you're just going through this process in a faux way to prepare yourself, we still will prepare like you're submitting. And so we'll work through and talk a lot about how to get to what Heidi says. Why are you picking a session? How does it fit into that? What's being asked in that call for presentations? Why is it going to stick out when Heidi's going through and looking at the 1,000+ submissions that get submitted to these events? These community events get thousands of submissions. Why is yours going to stick out? Because we're going to help you, because we've seen and we understand what's going to help it stick out and why it's important to make certain choices in your language and your abstracts and all the things, and teach you what an abstract is. This is all going to be wrapped up in mission number 2, which is building the session. I don't see that there were any questions at this point, but any closing remarks, Heidi? I'm excited. This has been a great educational experience for me and hopefully for everybody on with us. But I just turn it over for any last minute words as we move forward and get on to the next fun piece of this.
Sure. Yeah, I'm excited about all of this. We'll keep the momentum rolling. I put my LinkedIn URL in the chat. So if you guys are interested in starting small, I will have you on my user group. It's very not scary. There's like 4 people that are there in person and maybe up to 10 online. It's a great litmus test. It's great practice. So please feel free if you're interested in that. I will be happy to have you. And if you want to see people doing that, they're doing it in a few weeks at my user group. So we're having somebody encore a session at a recent community event that had technical issues and got awry. Well, she's going to have her second shot at the user group, and she will be trying to get into DynamicsCon with this session too. So not even kidding. I want you to succeed. Please feel free to reach out to me. I am passionate about mentoring and helping anyone. If you're a woman, I'm especially passionate in helping you get your voice elevated as well. But gentlemen, I will help you as well. I'm equal opportunity helper.
I just to reiterate that, I'll when I share this recording, once it's up, I'll share it to the entire group of folks that are on and also folks who couldn't make it. We'll do a cool little recap of the transcription, so you'll have all the bullet points. My co-pilot friend will help me with that. And we'll share all the pertinent information around connecting with these folks, and not just the folks that are with us in person today speaking, but also the other mentors that are in our group. So you can get with them on LinkedIn and start to follow them and interact with them as we build into this next session. And I'll share also that link ID for the Philadelphia group, so that people, if they want to join and watch and participate, they can do that. Rich, what about you? Anything final parting words as we wrap up? We only have 8 minutes, by the way. Just don't take all 8.
I believe me. We'll see. No, Heidi summed it very, very nicely. We are here to help. We've all been where you are. We know it can be scary, intimidating, frustrating, time consuming, and we're here to help you. So please, we're looking forward to it. Anybody that doesn't love going to these events hasn't been to enough of them. And want to help. We want to watch your session. We want it to be good.
Awesome. Will, bring us home. Razzle and dazzle, baby.
Honestly, we were there at that session where Heidi's I'm not going to say that person's name just because I don't think they'll probably want to be out, but we were there at that session for support. And that was probably one of the most nerve-wracking things. We were nervous for them, and they ended up killing it in a great way. So they got enough support, and it happens to everyone. So if you're interested, we're more than happy to make sure we stack your rooms, or if you have questions about mentoring, we're always here for you. Again, remember, there are people in the community, and then there are people in the community. I can say everyone on this call is part of that group who really want to help. Okay, so take advantage of it. Reach out to us. I threw my information on LinkedIn. If you ever happen to be at a conference and happen to see me, impossible to miss. So literally just pull me aside and let's just chop it up. All right. So we're here for you. We're going to knock this out together, guys.
High five, team. We did it. Great session. And listen, again, appreciate you. We're here for you, like we've mentioned across the board here, and love helping and love building the community this way. So looking forward to our second session. We'll have that published soon, coming up in December, and have a great rest of your day. I'll get this information out to you pretty quickly here so that you can get started and we can get started with you. Thank you so much.
Jazz hands.